What do I need to value your business? And more importantly, why do I need it? So the phone rings and I get a call and somebody says, I want you to take a look at valuing this business, Josh. What do you need? And I usually give them a list. And I started thinking through this. How can I make this easier for people to understand? What is it that I need and why do I need it? And I started thinking about the reporter, who, what, when, where, why. And a lot of times that helps actually to go through that. The who is it being done for? A lot of times the issue that I'm looking for here is not to be nosy about the client necessarily, is do I have a conflict? Do I have a conflict of interest? Am I working for a related client or something like that? So that's why I want to know the who a lot of times. The what, I would say is this an industry that I understand? Is this what size of ownership interest are we talking about? Does it have control? Does it not have control? So that's the what I like to get out of the way early. Is it something that I have the ability to do? The when is it due? Can I meet your deadline? If it's due tomorrow, that might be a problem. If it's due down a couple of weeks down the line, I can probably meet that. Where? This is less of an issue for me now probably, and for many of you out there than it has ever been, because we have all these tools at our disposal, the electronic things that allow us to work pretty much from anywhere. But there are instances when a site visit is going to be needed to get a good result, and if it's 3 states away, we need to talk about that. And then why? What is the purpose of it? And what I'm looking for here is something that is in my wheelhouse and it fits you. So in my case, the 2 primary areas I operate in are succession and exit planning for people selling out their businesses, or in some cases a younger owner buying into a business. So it's kind of a friendly situation. And I also operate in the litigation divorce area. So the who, what, when, where, why. So that's kind of housekeeping stuff. And then let's move on to the documents I like to have. Really, they're mandatory. It's really not negotiable unless you just actually don't have them, and they've never existed. But I ask for them anyway. And the first one is the financial statements. I'm sometimes lucky enough to get CPA prepared financial statements. Many times I'm not, so that's okay. Ideally, I'd like to see 6 years of financial statements so I can have 5 balance sheet measuring periods and a full operating cycle typically. Sometimes I'll need to expand that. Sometimes 6 is plenty, but that's usually where I start. And 6 years of tax returns to follow on to that. Sometimes that's all my prospective clients have, is the tax return. So the financial statements don't exist, and sometimes we just have the tax return. I ask for both, and hopefully I'll get both. So the tax return specifically, I just want to talk about that briefly. Sometimes the type of entity that you are, or the type of entity that your client is, may affect the value of that business. Depends on the tax structure, can have an impact on value in certain instances. Owner's compensation. So that's something that's sometimes very important to know in valuation. I like to get the information on the owner's compensation. Sometimes that can be pulled from the tax return, although I found in a couple of cases that sometimes that owner's compensation line on the tax return is wrong. So I actually would prefer to see the W-2s of the owners when at all possible, so I can verify that number is correct. Shareholder agreements, anything related to documents that an attorney has helped you put together and the rules that you follow to run your business. I want all those agreements and any prior sales of stock in the business. That'll give me a good foundation for the framework that you've laid out. In some cases, there's a schedule of values that has been determined before. Many times not, but sometimes there is. And like I said, sales of prior stock transactions can be very helpful too. And finally, the depreciation schedule is something I ask for every time. What's the depreciation schedule? It shows the detail of the fixed assets you've put into your business, the larger capital expenditures you've put into your business over a period of time. And that could be vehicles, equipment, computers, leasehold improvements. It could be a lot of different things. And that will allow me to see what your future capital expenditure spend is going to be. Okay? So that's normally the baseline stuff I ask for to value a company. This is not all inclusive, but it'll get you started. And more importantly, you'll figure out, hopefully, maybe why I need this stuff and why it's important. Might be a little bit easier to understand instead of just trying to chase this stuff and feeling like it's random, because it's really not. This is Josh Horn of Horn Valuation. Have a great day. Bye.